Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Local Film Talk. I'm your host, Bob Walters. We also have my co-host, Conrad Arnold, and today we are talking with Anthony Williams, local writer, director, producer, does a little bit of everything, don't you?
I do. You have to have all those slashes in your name.
Especially on the
quintuple threat.
The triple threat. Probably like quadruple or quintuple threat.
Yeah, I got to throw in acting in there, too. Can't forget acting.
That's true. You do appear in quite a bit of stuff around here. So, we both known Anthony for a while. Conrad longer than I have. In fact, you guys could probably talk a little bit about some older projects you worked on. But Anthony, you've been working in filmmaking for what, 7 or 8 years now?
Probably a little longer than that. But yeah, about 7 or 8 years seriously, and then coming up on 4 years. Where I've been doing it full time. You know, a lot of people have to have the daytime jobs and do this as, you know, part time or on the side. But back in June of 2012, I've been fortunate enough to do it full time. So that's between acting as well as production. So going strong, still counting the years, and really happy with where I am.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
How are you able to make that jump?
It was a scary, scary jump. It really, really was. I was working in corporate America. The company shall remain unnamed. And I was just doing, you know, over-the-phone customer service stuff, and it just was not working out. So it was very strange. I had an audition as an actor in Charleston for a traveling theater company, so to speak. So it was like almost everything in the world tried to get me to not go to that audition. Like I had volunteer opportunities that I signed up for that were happening the same day and the same time. I was having car issues. I didn't have like the money to get down there, and it was just like everything in the world was trying to pop up.
The universe did not want it to happen.
No, it didn't. But I made it happen. I made it work, and I got down there anyway. And it was very strange because when I walked in the door, the guy that was conducting the audition, he just like was looking at me the whole time. He would not stop looking at me. And so I went through the audition process, and he approached me afterwards, and it was like, I'm sorry to have stared you down the whole time, you know, since you walked in the door, but we have been looking for somebody exactly like you, your age, your race, demographic, like everything, and I didn't want to say anything in the beginning because I wanted to make sure that you could act first, so we had to send you through the audition process.
I thought it'd be better if I just stared at you and made you
right,
think I was
yeah.
great.
That always makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah, all the time. I felt so comfortable in that audition. No, but needless to say, long story short, I got the job, and the rehearsal for that particular project started June 2nd, and my last day at corporate America was June 1st. And so ever since then, it's just been smooth. It hasn't been smooth sailing, but I know
it's never smooth.
Yeah, it's never smooth, but it has been smoother than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I remember back then, man. You had some anxiety about that. You know?
Is there another
I know
way
you're trying to I know you're trying to stash as much cash as you could at the time. And I know there were some scary moments there, but dude, you pulled through like a champ.
I did, thank you. Yeah, I had a plan down, like financially. I moved out of, you know, I had the luxury of living by myself, so I scaled back and got a roommate so I could split all my costs in half. I ended up paying off credit card debt since I were able to cut all of my expenses in half and live with a roommate. And it just prepared me to actually do this. So I went into it like I do almost everything else in life with a plan in mind and then a plan B as a backup.
I think we're talking to the only person in the history of the world who quit his day job to pursue acting full time, and that allowed him to pay off all his debts.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard that story before.
So far, the majority of my debts, until I got around to breaking my femur a couple of years ago, and that racked the bills back up. But that's
okay, Wolverine.
Yeah.
In 6 months, he might be able to use the walker. Like 3 months later, you know, it's like freaking dancing.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap.
I did. I broke my leg in September, and I was in the recording studio in October for the Ellen video.
Really?
Yeah, I was up, and I think it was like a month and a week, so 5 weeks after having major surgery. I was up, moving around. I considered that my rehab. I was like, I'm not paying X amount of thousands of dollars to go to rehab. I'll do this crap myself. So they gave me the option of either having a wheelchair or walking around with a 80-year-old man walker. And so, of course, I picked the walker because I was like, if I get used to the wheelchair, I'm not going to heal as quickly as I want.
Did it come with tennis balls, or did they make you go buy your own
I
tennis
had to
balls?
put tennis balls on them, on
Those
them
cheap
myself.
bastards.
Yeah.
Hey man, do you know what the markup for tennis balls are in a hospital? It's ridiculous.
Oh man, and it depends on your plan. It might not be covered.
Yeah, you always got to look at that HMO.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a quick heal, and I was in the studio shortly after, so kept
That
on
is
trucking.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on all that. Now, you guys, I'll let you guys take it from here for a second, but like I said, I met you, Anthony, maybe 2 years ago or so.
hmm
But you and Conrad have actually known each other for quite a while since, I believe, your directorial debut. Why don't you guys talk a little about that?
That was back in 2009.
God,
I
yeah, it's
met, I
been
met
so long.
you, and what was it, Sean?
Yeah,
Yeah, way back. Um, Summer of 2009, and shortly after we did Potty Mouth.
yeah.
I was sick on set. It was cold the whole time. You know, it's just like I'm trying to be a script supervisor. I'm just blowing snot everywhere.
But it
And,
was great because most of the scene took place in a bathroom, so it was appropriate. You can wash your hands, sanitize, all that. I think you're in the good spot.
Now, I saw that one. Did you shoot that at the office you used to work at?
No, that was one of our crew
Cisco.
members. Yeah, one of
Oh,
our crew
excuse me.
members.
Maybe I should
Yeah, I was
have
about to
said
say, you
that.
probably, we didn't have, I don't know, I'm not going to
This toilet comedy brought to you by a networking giant.
They're diversifying.
Yeah, they're branching out. But no, we ended up shooting at an unnamed office location in the RTP, and one of our crew members, he worked there, and so we were able to shoot in their off hours. So
Okay. Well, that's very cool they let you do that.
yeah.
Now, you were talking earlier before we started recording, and it's something interesting for other filmmakers to think about. You're very big on, excuse me, you're very big on not just running into whatever presents itself. You're interested in sort of mapping out your career. I believe you described it as planning how choosing your projects based on how you want to be perceived. Talk a little bit about that philosophy and how some of the projects you've chosen or directed or whatever have fit into that.
Yeah, definitely. I've always had the big notion that you should kind of have a map of where you want anything to go. Not saying that life is going to live by that map or by the time set that you have laid out, but it's always good to just dream. And I think that my mapping process came from me dreaming so big. Now I'm not big with saying, oh, by the age of 30 I'm going to be here, by the age of 35 I'm going to be here. Like I don't like to do that. Things happen.
It's easy to get frustrated when you do that.
It is, and there are so many turns and twists that can happen, and those turns and twists can lead you to somewhere ultimately better than you had planned for yourself.
Okay.
So I have always tried to live by the philosophy of just making sure I know the direction I want to go in, not necessarily the milestones or the roadblocks or the road markers that I want to hit by a certain time. So yeah, I've always been very methodical and planned out where I wanted my career to go. And so that with that overall big picture, then I know what decisions to make, what small decisions to make along the way to get to that bigger goal. So that's kind of just how I like to map things out. I have always been a big believer in making sure that you know what you're doing, even if you don't know what you're doing. At least making the best conscious decision at that point in your life or your career to get you towards that end goal.
Right.
Like you said earlier, I personally have never been big on just taking a project just to take a project, or putting this out there just to have stuff churning out. I always make sure that things have a purpose, because if you get 10 years down the road and you have blown up to this big career, then the stuff that you've done before could come back to bite you in the ass, or it could help you. So I've always just made sure that that I'm happy with the projects I put out, that I feel as if I'm connected with the projects that I do, Even if I'm working with other people, other filmmakers in the area, my first question is, can I read the script? More times than not is, what's it about and can I read it? Before I, verbally or, put my hand to signature to agree to do something.
Right.
Just because it's very important that we know what we're getting ourselves into before we actually do it.
Right. You don't want to be like one of those celebrities where, 20 years down the line, someone's like, hey, wait, did you see this breakdancing instructional video they did?
Right.
Or, hey, look, so and so was in this porno movie.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Not to name names, the Italian stallion. But,
But yeah, so I to this day I always just make sure I know you know what I'm doing,
right.
and if it doesn't lead to a bigger, my bigger goal or bigger picture.
Now, do you find you've been at this for a couple of years and you've had some success and as you have success you're able to be a little more in control. Um, I assume you've kind of had that philosophy all throughout your filmmaking career. Is it harder? Is it a lot harder when you're first starting out to be choosy like that? And what kind of advice would you give for people, when they're at a time in their life where it doesn't seem like they're afforded the luxury to be choosy?
Right. That's a very good question. And actually, for me, it's going to be a twofold answer, so try to bear with me. Yes, it's very hard to try to be choosy in the beginning of your career because a lot of people say you can't get work without experience, you can't get experience without work. So it's the
Hmm.
catch-22. And I found myself facing that very same problem because I've always been choosy. I really, really have always been choosy. Even back in my early acting days, when my mom would be like, "Do you want to do this show?" and I'm like, "I don't really, feel anything for that show. I'll wait for the next one." Same thing in high school when I was doing all my training. I did everything in high school, all the shows in high school, to gain that experience. So, because that was a place where I could do it. I
Okay.
know a couple of filmmakers here in the area who are still in high school. So my advice to them is to do everything that you can get your hands on because you're in a safe environment, you're in a learning environment, and you're able to pick up what works for you and what doesn't in the early stages before you actually get out into the real world and start to build your career. The people that are out already as filmmakers and just starting at filmmakers or actors, I'll talk to both of them because I can speak from both. But if you are just starting out in your field of dream, I guess you could say, um, it is a lot harder to be choosy. But I don't think you should shy away from it because again, you are the ones that are in control of your career. It's not your agent, it's not your manager, it's not your family. It's you. You decide what projects you want to do. You decide as an actor what role you connect with before you even audition. You decide as a director what story you connect with before you want to direct it and before you get a vision for it. I mean, everybody inside of themselves know. So if you don't stick with that feeling and that no, and you decide to take a project that you're not attached to, then you're not going to find yourself doing the best work. You're not going to find yourself happy on set for those a long amount of times. Because, when we're on set, we work long hours. And they
Right.
can be, for weeks, sometimes months at a time. So if you do decide to stay picky in the early stages, do understand it's not going to be easy. For people who would like to do anything that they can get their hands on to build their career on the flip side, I would say do that with people who believe in you and people who you believe in. And what I
Okay.
mean by that is if you feel as if you should attach yourself to um, anything just to gain experience, make sure that it's with some person who's also on the same level as you and that they're willing to learn and to grow with you as an artist. Because that street is a two-way street. So if you're a filmmaker that's wanting to put out a lot of projects so you can learn what it is to direct and learn how to run a camera, so you're honest with yourself and you know that it's not going to be the best work that you put out, but it's also not the last work you're going to put out, then if you could pair yourself with people who are looking to do the same thing. That way, you're both on the same knowledge level. You both can build yourself up, and you can both learn at the same rate, the same speed, the same level. And it's not as if you are blindly taking projects that you have no connection to. Does that make sense?
No, I
Yeah.
mean, it's I understand where you're saying, and you want to, like you said, even when you're not in school with the safety net of that learning environment, even when you're out in the real world, you need to have a safety net at the very least of trust in the people that you're working with,
Right.
because as any actor at any level can tell you, it doesn't matter what kind of performance you give if the directors and the editors and the producers don't know what they're doing or not on the same page or whatever. They can easily ruin a terrific performance.
Yeah.
um, I sometimes wonder about that when you when you see like the Oscars and the Golden Globes, and they're giving out Oscars for acting and everything. You wonder, and obviously those people gave great performances,
Right.
but how much credit do you have to give for the people who knew which take to select and how
Right.
to edit it together to get the maximum impact and like the right music bed to put in there and all that stuff? There's a like it all starts with the actor's performance,
Mhm.
or whatever job you're doing. It all starts with what you're doing, but creating a quality product is a lot of different people building a lot of different stuff on top of that.
Right.
And if you don't trust them to handle what you did with the utmost care to get the most out of it, you're spinning your wheels, I guess.
Right.
And
And
also, it never hurts to think about it.
just saying. And I'm not saying this just because he is on with us, but that's one reason I feel Conrad and I work well together, and that we still have a working relationship together. I mean, it's been what, I'm not even putting numbers on it. It's been since '09 that we met each other, and to this day, almost anything filmmaking wise, I'll call Conrad. And I'm like, I have this idea, or I have this project that I'm wanting to do. I trust him with a lot because we've been working together since I started this, a
Right.
while ago. And, I
It's
feel that.
long con. Eventually, there's going to be a slush.
Right.
In about
Oh,
20
shit, I
years,
should've
the
said
rug is going
that.
to get pulled out from under you.
No,
Well,
but
take this 20,000 and run to Mexico.
and run. I'm gone. Can't find me, yo. But yeah, I feel as if Conrad's one of the good ones, and I've always been told very early on in my career that it takes an army to do almost anything. It's not one person building a project. It's a lot of hands, like you said. Selecting the right clips, and putting your trust in people that are around you in order to have a good final product.
Mhm.
And I've always felt that Conrad was that way, which is why I feel that we work well together now. Like I think in the beginning we probably had a couple bumps in the road.
Yeah.
But I call him all the time when I have projects. I'm like, hey, are you available to do this? Are you free? You want to work together? I got this idea. So yeah, I love it.
So what's some of the other stuff you guys have worked on together throughout the years?
Ooh.
I think the
I'm,
biggest
I'm
one
trying to segue. I'm trying to lead into the big one.
he's trying to lead into absolutely positive. We should just talk about that.
I'm stepping back. I'm throwing. Catch the pass.
Well, before that, regarding my projects, the only one we did work on was Potty Mouth, and then I worked on some of Conrad's shorts that he either spearheaded or was working on as well. And then I think the bigger one after that was Absolutely Positive, which was the last short film that I did regarding HIV. So that was the first really good content short that I did where we worked together for an extended period of time. So that's where we got to know each other the most.
Okay. I thought Absolutely Positive was actually a feature. Was that
No,
like a short that was supposed to lead to a feature?
It was
correct.
it was about a half hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's what it was. It was a really long short.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a long short.
But
Okay.
you're right on the money. Like I did that short to gauge how the subject matter would land with the audience in order to develop it into a feature. So
Okay.
yeah, I wrote it in a certain way to whereas it could be expanded into a larger story, which actually is what we're doing at the moment. We decided to forego the feature idea and develop it into a TV series. So it's in development at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, out of curiosity, I'm just wondering because you've done over your career, you've done a couple like gay themed, homosexual themed projects,
Hmm.
and I'm just kind of curious because the landscape has changed so drastically in the past couple years. Like, what's been your perception as a filmmaker working in that genre? How things have changed. Like back when you first did Absolutely Positive, was a lot harder to get material like that out there than it is today.
Yes, absolutely. When I wrote Absolutely Positive, and I shopped it around to different crew members to try to build my crew,
Hmm.
I actually had a lot of people turn me down. Um,
Really?
yeah,
Hmm.
because of the subject matter and because it was so out there. There were some people that I really, really wanted to work with. After they read it, they were like, I appreciate the theme and the direction, and it's a really good script, but I can't work on it. So,
Huh.
which leads me to another thing is I'm always very fortunate, always very, very fortunate to work with great people. And so
Right.
that's a way you build relationships. It's a really great way to know who's willing to take those big steps with you. And I learned that on Absolutely Positive.
And
Um,
this would be a great moment to throw a shout out to Chris Medico,
yeah,
Sean Pollock, to John Hughes, to
to
Seth Alexander,
Jody.
Jody,
He
yes.
did great. Jody and Chris German. Yeah, a lot of people who were on that crew, even the actors, they were there because they believed in the story, they liked the direction it was going, and they were wanting to also take a bold step. I like Conrad said, I was very fortunate that Chris Medico was able to bring his knowledge and his expertise to the table
He started
because
shooting right after surgery.
yeah,
Oh
got out of
wow.
surgery and like a day or two later, like he was on set with us. Yeah, and
It just goes to say that surgery makes you a better filmmaker.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, both with Anthony and with Chris, it's just a little bump in the road. You're right back out there.
yeah,
I'm getting my spleen taken out next week just to get up a level.
and then
I might
three.
have to schedule some major back surgery just for the boost in my career.
That's okay. You can direct from a wheelchair. It's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not unheard of.
But so yeah, that was the next major project that I did with Conrad, and I can't remember the original question that you asked.
He was saying, how awesome is Conrad? And the
Yeah,
answer
I just
was,
wanted to
oh,
know
wow.
what would be like the five most flowery adjectives you would use to describe Conrad.
Hmm. Uh, how much time do we have for me to think about that? No, I'm kidding.
Well, we're live on the internet, so
So technically, all the time in
man,
the
if we
world.
had a chat room going, I'm sure they'd be tearing us apart.
Oh, that'd be.
I got some words for you.
But yeah, it's the working relationship with Conrad has been great, and I trust him with a great deal. And
Right.
if I were to walk, have to walk away from a set, I could come back knowing that the ship has not sunk, caught on fire, hit a rock, anything. Like I know that he would keep it on its course. So it's people like that I feel that every filmmaker should have in their inner circle and surround themselves with. Conrad will keep it real. There are times where I was, not being um, as good as I know that I could have, or being a bratty little director. And he's like, "Hey, get your shit together."
I think we had a moment on Absolutely Positive like
Hey,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
we had
Lord,
a
we had a
moment.
diva moment.
Yeah,
Um,
he was. I was, I was just trying to. It was my first film, my first heavy film that I really wanted people to look at and take seriously, and so I was very conscious about the certain decisions I was making. But at that time, I didn't know anything about planning and time management and what an AD did, because he was my AD on that one, so I didn't understand what the roles were. And so, I think we were
Please tell me
going.
you slapped the coffee out of his hand or something. It's like
I just want to
too much
say,
sugar. Whack.
I just want to say that you can pull all your hair out and it will grow
I
back.
think we both did it, and I don't have that much to pull out to begin with, so that's saying a lot. But no, yeah, I think I was running over schedule because I was either throwing in shots or doing too many takes of shots because it wasn't where I was wanting, and so we addressed that separately, and the next day was beautiful.
So that being your first project, get a little into.
I do want to give Anthony some credit though. Like, absolutely positive, there are a lot of scenes in that movie that require a lot of just um, bearing the soul of the actor. You know, there's a lot of really risky shots and scenes that I can't imagine most actors would feel comfortable with. And the fact that he was able to pull those performances out says a lot, especially with this being, as he said, his first heavy film. Um, I was really impressed with that.
Thank you.
I mean, the time that you put into it, it really did pay off. I just had to slap you around a little bit. That's all. So.
But it's funny because after getting slapped around, I completely understood. And I was like, okay, I am not just in my director bubble. Like, you have to also think about things like time, and you have to think, like, as a director, you're multitasking a lot. You have to keep in mind time, shots. If you have to cut out shots, how can you combine shots to save time? You have to worry about actors. Like, there's a lot that's going on, as a director. And so it's I've done AD work too, and that's not an easy job by any means. So
No, it's a pretty multitasking heavy job right there.
yeah, so I think we work well together now. We do.
So I was going to ask you my question. I was going to ask were what were some of the lessons you learned from your first project there, but I think you just spelled it out beautifully.
Yeah, I learned a lot about time management, and to this day, because of that movie, I am very conscious of time management. Whether people are getting paid or not getting paid, and I don't believe that should dictate how a set is run. It should all be run the same way, whether you're getting paid or not getting paid. With that being said, you also should not take advantage of people's time if they're not getting paid.
Right.
So even if you have a shot list, you have to do your best to stick to that. You have to stick to the schedule. You have to make sure that you're moving along at the pace that's set aside for the day, because if not, then you run over, and people have lives outside of the set.
Right.
And you can't hold them up for something that you could have easily fixed and been conscious of along the way in the process. So I learned a lot about that on Absolutely Positive.
I mean, it's actually kind of, when people aren't getting paid, it's almost a trickier tightrope to walk, because you don't want to be, since you're not paying someone and they're volunteering, you don't want to be a jerk, you don't want to be too demanding, you don't want to be overbearing like that. At the same time, if you don't assume a certain amount of control and, show a little bit of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, not stubbornness, but if you are too lackadaisical or not pushing enough, you do end up, like you said, wasting people's time because you're not getting things done, and that's actually more disrespectful and more of a waste than if you were just pushing on through.
Now
I just want to say, I think even if you're not paying your actors or your crew, it definitely shows value for their time and effort by having your own shit together.
Yeah, and it makes them feel better about volunteering to work for you if they can see that you're a professional and not just some screw off calling in favors.
See, that's the thing with situations like that. I always, and I think that's why a lot of people love, not to toot my own horn, but love to work with us, is because I am all about organization. I'm all about having the schedule down. I'm all about having a plan A, B, and C. So we don't, hold anything up. In regards to, making sure that we do stay on schedule and have keep people's interests and get them, wanting to work with us, even if we're not paying them, whether they're crew or actors. I think personally, I found a happy medium with that. What I tend to do is I meet with every crew member and every actor one-on-one before I even sign them onto the project. I need to see how their personalities are, how their work ethic is, if we will gel well together when we're under pressure, 14 hours a day on set. And then also just to see, so they can get a sense of my personality and my work ethic. It's a two-way street with that. And I'm a very straightforward, upfront person. I'll sit down in front of you, have coffee with you. I've been told I'm very nice, on set, and that I am a pleasure to work with. No, I'm kidding. but that I'm somewhat easy to work with, and I think all of that is in the preparation. Like if you don't have everything prepared, then on set you're going to be running around like a chicken with your head cut off because you don't have all of your details planned, your I's dotted and your T's crossed before you set foot onto a set. I think
Right.
that's what makes the atmosphere. And then also, it's great to work with your friends, and it's great to work with other professionals. But if their personalities don't mesh well together at all, that's going to be one hell of a set. And so I like to make sure that I meet with everyone so that way I can pull together the best crew possible. Because when we do get into those long hours, if I know that I did all I could to minimize conflict, then that will make for hopefully a smoother day on set. If you
Right.
know that someone's going to fly off the handle because there's not a bag of pretzels when they wanted them at the end of the day, then it's you can easily divert that by making sure you can assess the chemistry of the people that you're wanting to put together on a set.
Right.
So
So
I
have
always
you
make
had to make that hard decision at times, turning down a friend for a project or a
yeah.
professional that you've really been wanting to work with just because you know they're not going to gel well with the other people on the project?
Yes, and it doesn't mean that they're a bad professional. It doesn't mean that they don't do their job well. It just means that, like, for instance, with Absolutely Positive, some of the people that, out of all weeding through crew members and trying to find the right crew for this one, there were some that were um, a little too, happy or a little too outgoing or a little too, which is great. That's totally fine. It's what I love to have on a set. But it did not fit the tone of the movie. So
Mm.
if we were, having that 24/7 on set while the actors are trying to focus and get ready for a serious scene, then that throws off the balance and the chemistry of your crew, which
Right.
affects the actors, which affects their performance, which it's a trickle-down effect.
Hmm.
Um, there are some people, quite the opposite, like on the Ellen video. It was a fun music video to work on. There were some people who may not have been comfortable with the concept or the material, but they wanted to work on it just to work on it. I turned them down. There are some people whose personalities didn't match with my head department leader, so I know that they probably wouldn't have gotten along well with some of them. So doesn't mean that they're not great people or they're not great at what they do. It just meant that they didn't fit that 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 feel that I was looking to put together to construct for that particular
Right.
project. But I always go back and every project that I have, I try to reintroduce a new project to people that I think would either love the idea or mesh well together on the set.
Okay.
Now that we mentioned the Help Us Get Ellen video, we can
Yes,
seg
yes. The Help Us Get
over,
Ellen video.
Right.
seg over to that.
Yeah, this was the one that I was really excited to get you on here to talk about because the idea, and correct me if I'm wrong, the idea was you were trying to get the attention of celebrity personalities, in this case specifically, name dropping Ellen DeGeneres,
Hmm.
um, to a specific cause that was going to be. How exactly did it work? Was this to try to help get funding for the feature film version of Absolutely Positive?
Yes, it was a threefold thing. One,
Okay.
what you just mentioned, to help us get funding for Closet Case, which is a feature film that deals with equality and anti-bullying in schools. So that is what sparked the themes for the Ellen Music video project. So one was to try to either get a little bit of attention from those celebrities or some funding through some channels. The second purpose was to actually see if Ellen would be interested in playing a role in the movie, because there's a role in the movie for her.
Oh, okay.
And then the third is to just to build our following and fan base. So it was a promotion for the film Closet Case.
Okay. So it was, I mean, that I thought that was really fascinating that you were actually setting out to try to more or less create a viral video.
Hmm.
And I'm really interested to hear what your thought process was going into that, what at the time you thought it took to make something go viral, and then just kind of how that all played out and how things either met or didn't meet your expectations.
Right. Getting anything to go viral is it's funny. It's hard work and then it's no work at the same time.
Hmm.
Like there are some videos that, just happen and then people pick it up and it spreads like wildfire. And then there are some things that have to methodically be planned out in order for it to go viral. My
Right.
thought process behind it was that we, of course, wanted this to go viral so Ellen could see it. So again,
Because it's not like you were going to be able to make a video and then just email it to Ellen DeGeneres and she was
right.
going to see it because, and I don't know the Hollywood system. I assume it has to go through like 3 layers of assistance to
Hmm.
get to that person, and there are probably tons of people doing something like that. So my reasoning, and apparently your reasoning also, is you got to get something to blow up on the outside with the public because, like, especially in a position that she is, they're paying attention to pop culture and reacting to it and trying to make it part of their show. So
Right.
if you can get something about Ellen to blow up in the popular culture, she's got
Hmm.
to take notice of
Exactly. That was my thought behind it. Every word you said.
it. I just hijacked the interview myself.
Yeah, it's totally okay. But we went into it knowing that it wasn't just going to be something that blew up overnight. So we again tried to do as much preparation as we could.
Hmm.
Um, Social media is a powerful thing, and
Right.
so we've been trying and somewhat successfully learning how to use it with all the hashtags, with people to reach out to and to see if you can get them to share it. And it's all about just getting people to share as
Right.
opposed to actually just click the like button and move about their business.
Right.
So it can be tricky. In our particular case with this music video, um, I ended up just planning things prior to. So I tried to, branch out to local media, um, even some of the media that were more themed based, like the LGBT media, anti-bullying aspect. So since this one was such a niche with certain themes, you try to
Right.
go through and see if you can start to wiggle your way into those themed media aspects. So that's
Right.
what we did even before we started production on anything for the video.
Okay. Went ahead and tried to figure out what your channels were going to be to help promote the thing.
That and just educating, because like you said, everything changes so quickly. So just educating, keeping up to date and informed on what's happening in the media, what's happening in those particular themes and subject matters, and just making sure that you're in the know, because you don't want to seem like you're, uninformed, misinformed, or uninformed about what you're trying to become a part of. So,
Right. So, what when you get into the actual production of the video,
ugh,
you're trying to make a video that's going to go viral.
uh-huh.
So, what kind of research do you do for that? I mean, is that just a late night sessions of watching all the viral videos you can find? I mean, what kind of research goes into that? And then, what was your like when you have your dry erase board of uh, traits of viral videos, things we need to try to do in this video that will help it go viral? What were some of
Right.
the things you came up with?
The number one thing is probably just length, short. That's why vines are hilarious.
Hmm.
That's one thing. If we could implement this into anything on the web, because a lot of people are starting to branch off into to web series, it's just making sure that they are short,
Right.
because our attention spans as humans are diminishing rather
Hmm.
quickly.
The
Even,
options are getting
yeah.
so many. You can have so much stuff
Mhm.
instantly, and it's all right in one place.
Yeah.
You're watching a YouTube video, and there's a dozen other videos right next to it
That
saying
they're
"click me, click me,
recommending
click
for
me."
it. Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right. So some of those traits that we figured is they have to be short and they have to be. We find that most successful ones are uh, hilarious right
Right.
off the point. So they're either funny or they're something that you don't see every day. Or something that's cute, a lot of cat videos, a lot of baby videos,
Right.
um, and then also something that immediately grabs you, whether it's on the dramatic side or whether it is on the comedy side. But
Mm.
the main thing with these is you have to grab them right at the beginning. You can't take time building the story like you would in a short or in a feature, because you will have lost them by
Right.
30 seconds. They're gone.
Hmm.
So it has to jump off attention grabbing right at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now another thing that I've noticed is that it's also kind of, I'd say it's fairly even, but there's a slight edge to stuff that seems more candid, stuff that seems kind of home video quality, the stuff that goes viral. Now, of course, a lot of that is, when you're watching somebody get kicked in the nuts, or like you say,
Right.
cat videos or something. But then there are also some very highly produced things that take off, like the "What Does the Fox Say" video, stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. Clearly, you didn't want to just do something screwy like a Vine that you obviously shot on your iPhone. You wanted to go for something very produced,
Right.
and in this case, you went with a music video.
Right.
Um, did that seem like more of a challenge, like trying to? Because I mean, what you made was actually really big. You got a very highly choreographed video to put together. Did that seem to be like a hindrance? I
Um,
think I might have lost the point of my question, but if you got anything out of that,
yeah, I got a lot out of that. That was my first music video that I've ever done. So in that right in itself, it was hard because I
mhm,
didn't know the territory or what came with it or how to do it properly. But I
mhm,
did know production, and if anything, I was like, I'm gonna treat it as if it's a short film. I'm going into this as if it's any type of narrative.
mhm,
So that's how I approached it. But I think my particular instance, it was a challenge just because in the midst of it, I did break my leg.
mm.
So that was a
Well,
challenge all
fortunately,
in
you got
itself.
right back on the horse.
Yeah, well, yeah, not too far afterwards. I broke my leg in September, was in the recording studio in October. The track was released in January. But
Wow.
yeah, were a lot of elements that I forgot about in the midst of doing, trying to plan a music video. Like I forgot that I had to hold audition for dancers. I forgot that we actually had to schedule dance rehearsals. Forgot that we actually had to, and that's all of that is outside of doing the actual production for the video, like location scouting and, call times and props and like everything else that comes into the actual filmmaking process of it. So it was
Mhm.
almost like doing two films, two separate projects in one.
Right.
And I felt as if I should have had two teams doing it.
Now, I am curious because your video is a montage of, I guess the term would be remixes of pop songs.
hmm
Obviously, you guys actually recorded them and changed a couple of the lyrics to fit your theme.
Right.
Um, what was involved in the choices with those songs? Was there a reason you went with recognizable songs? Does that help something go viral? And the way that you did you still have to deal with a lot of rights issues?
Gotcha. The very great question. The reason there was reason and thought process behind every aspect of this video,
Hmm.
even down to the music. The reason I picked those particular songs and those artists is A, because they're recognizable and people can pick them up really quickly. Even if the lyrics were changed, which is what we did to benefit and tell our story, people still knew the music, therefore they would want to listen.
Right.
If it were just an original song with original lyrics, then the chances would have been a little slimmer. But the fact that it was a mashup of 8 popular songs that are recognizable to the ear, then even if they are listening to the beat while they're watching the dance moves on screen, they subconsciously pick up the lyrics that we're singing. So
Right.
that
Right.
was the reason that we picked those particular artists were because they most of them supported LGBT and equality rights or anti-bullying.
Okay.
And they were outspoken and outright about that. So those were the reasons why we picked those particular songs for the music video.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were there any rights issues that went along with that?
No, there were no rights issues, primarily because the final product that we had was an original creation of ours, and also we did not use the original music tracks. They were either like karaoke tracks, or most of them we recreated in the studio. So they
Oh, okay.
are our original work along with our original lyrics. So there were no rights issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
In other words, you did just enough work to make sure that the YouTube bot did not recognize it and take your video down.
Right, right. And
Man, I hate
the
that
fact that it
YouTube
was a
bot.
mashup, it helped quite a bit too. So it was a
Right.
little unrecognizable by that YouTube bot.
Confuse the bot and you're golden.
Yeah.
So, so you've got your video, you record all the tracks and the the choreography and all that stuff. I imagine that must have been just a real arduous shoot. I mean, I'm sure it was a lot of fun, but it must have
hmm
been really intense.
That was a 3 weekend shoot, right?
Um,
We
one,
we
two,
had a school for one day. There
two.
was a nightclub for another day.
I think it may have been 2 weekends because we had 4 locations.
Okay, I wasn't on the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was 2 weekends. So
Was
we shot one day at each location. So we had a Saturday, Sunday at a church and a school, and then the following Saturday, Sunday, or no. We had dance rehearsals one weekend. The
mhm.
following weekend, we shot those scenes that we rehearsed the weekend before. Then the next weekend, we had the following 2 scenes of dance rehearsals. And then the weekend after that, we had shot it. So it was pretty much a month consecutive between planning, or a month of production between the planning, the rehearsals, the shooting, and then the planning, the rehearsals, and the shooting. So yeah, it was about a month consecutively,
Okay.
just on weekends. Yeah.
Now
Shout
you've
out to Rex Yao and Tom Gore.
Oh God, Rex Yao and Tom Gore killed the visual on this music video. They like Rex Yao is a genius when
Dude,
it
and
comes,
he edited the thing
and
too.
he edited it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
okay.
was. So I think that helped as well because he had in mind how he wanted it. You know, we had lots of creative meetings about this project, and so he knew exactly what I was wanting to see. And then having that knowledge, going in and shooting it as the DP, he knew exactly what to get.
Okay.
And so when he got to the editing room, he had a rough cut. I'm not lying. Less than a week later,
Hmm.
I
Oh
think it was
shit.
like 4 or 5 days later, and he's like, "Oh, I just threw this together, but let me know what you think." And I looked at it and I said, "Holy fuck!" I was like, "Oh my god!"
Awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he was fantastic.
I worked with Rex before. He's a cool guy, and
Oh yeah.
his work is amazing.
Yeah, he's brilliant. And I'm not a technical director, so I don't know very much about cameras or lighting. And the God honest truth, I think this is why Rex and I work so well. I say, Rex, this is what I'm seeing for this particular shot. I see the sun coming in, hitting her hair like this, and when she turns around and goes, ah, then you see this light. Like that's exactly how I talk to Rex. And he'll process it and he says, okay. So he'll go up, he'll set up the lights, and he'll set up the shot, and I'll sit, behind the screen, and I'm like, okay, maybe tweak this a little bit here and there. I know nothing technical, but he just gets it. We talk very well, we communicate very well.
That's
Nice.
what you look for
Yeah,
with a
Hmm.
TV.
definitely.
Like I said, people that work well together and are going to fit the tone of the shoot.
Mhm.
So what's it like? I know I mean, you've acted in quite a few of the projects you've directed. It's got to be a whole nother level trying to dance and sing in a project you're directing. What's that like?
Oh God, thank God it was not live singing because I would not have made it. So it was all lip syncing. But the processes were very different. I love recording in the studio, especially stuff that I've written. So I wrote the lyrics and went in and recorded. And a big shout out to Joshua McKelvey and McKelvey Warner Studios. They're based in Greensboro. He was a brilliant mind in the studio as well. So I have to give a shout out to him. He's great. But yeah, doing those at the same time on camera, it was for me. It wasn't a challenge because I've been doing it since I was younger, with musical theater. So it just comes as first nature to me. The only challenge I said again is fighting through the pain of a healing leg.
Yeah.
And I was kind of disappointed in myself because I know how I used to dance when I was younger, and then the performance that I gave in the music video, I think it was still good. I know I could have given more, but just had a small hindrance.
As a guy who can't dance, I can say that was awesome, and I could never hope to recreate that. So by all means, do not beat yourself up over that.
Oh, well, thank you, thank you. But Yeah, it was a great experience, and I've always wanted to do a music video and to be the forefront of a music video. I guess it's just that small part of me as a teenager wanting to be like a teen pop icon. So I got to live that out for about 30 seconds, and it was great.
It's a very cool video. Now,
Well, that's about
I
that.
forget,
That
is
is
that
about
on?
the length of a teen pop icon
Pretty
career.
much. Yeah.
So you got the whole experience.
Yeah, pretty much. Minus the crippling drug addiction and all that, but
Yeah.
like a
I've got
moth
years
to a
for that.
flame.
Got years for that. Save those for the Hollywood years. No, I'm
And
kidding.
for the record, Help Us Get Ellen, the music video is available on YouTube if people want to watch it. I'll put the link down in the show notes so people can watch it, but that is available for people to check out.
Yeah, and share. Don't just click a like button. Actually, share it on your media pages. I mean,
That's
if
right.
you
It's not too late to go viral yet.
not too late.
It's,
Yeah.
it's not too late to download the video. Stalk Ellen DeGeneres. Put it on a flash drive, okay? Just download the video, put it on a flash drive, stalk her, put it in her pocket. She won't freak out. She'll think this is cool, I swear. And
This
then,
is my
and then there you go.
co-host. This is his second time on the show. He's telling people to reach
I,
up
I,
and.
I won't be here next week, I'm sure.
I had the idea, a very similar idea of just like flying.
You
to
will
Burbank.
not be here because I kicked you off. You won't be here because you'll be in police custody.
But no, I had the idea too. I was like, a way to get it in her hands is fly to Burbank, find out what car she drives, and then download the music video to like her GPS system. So when she pulls up directions of where to go, then that's the first thing that pops up.
Oh, Jesus. Hack her car.
But with me being a slightly starving artist, I couldn't afford a ticket to Burbank, so that plan was gone by the wayside.
So we need to start a Kickstarter
Yeah.
to help
Funny thing.
Anthony get to Burbank to hack Ellen DeGeneres' car.
Yeah.
So that when she plugs Trader Joe's or whatever into her GPS, the video plays.
That's what
It's all about money. It all comes down to money and not having any. You can't afford that ticket to go out to Burbank. You could rob a Circle K, but you don't have the money for the ski mask. It's just, it always comes down to money.
Mm-hmm. But I was very fortunate though. Speaking of that music video, it has not gone viral in the sense that we know it. But I did work with a producer shortly after that project, and she knows the executive producers at her show. And so we're hoping,
it is a very connected business.
it really is, and which is why you should never burn bridges. Another point to make.
Mhm.
But yeah, so hopefully we can revitalize this particular project after the release of Closet Case, which is the feature film that it promotes in the first place. So.
Right. So that was the next thing I wanted to get to is the video came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, didn't go blow up and go viral in the traditional sense.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But it is the video that to date has the most likes of anything that I've done.
Well, there
Or
you go.
the most views of anything that I've done. So yeah,
That's a cool feeling, isn't it?
it really is. But
Especially
you're
when you
saying-
set out to do that. I have stuff on my YouTube
Oh, yeah.
channel, and I go back and I look at a year later, I'm like, holy shit, when did that get 1,000 views?
Yeah.
It's much cooler when it's something you actually worked on and worked really hard and you get to see the payoff.
Yeah. But I'm sorry I cut you off. You were leading into.
Well, I was just going to say the whole purpose was to go viral, again, in that particular sense of getting a lot of views, getting it shared a lot, getting it out in the public consciousness. And that isn't what happened. You did see some benefits from it, but what, just kind of in a post-mortem, Monday morning quarterback sort of way, why do you think it didn't go viral the way you wanted, and what lessons have you learned from that so that if you were to try something like this again, what are lessons you've learned and things you do different?
Like I said before, with anything that I do, I always try to make sure I have a plan, and then also a team to help execute that plan. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care how many slashes you have in your name, director / producer / writer. I don't care. You cannot succeed in this business by yourself. You just can't.
Right. Unless you're that Ben Herzog guy, or what's that kid's name that does those animations, like It's Such a Wonderful Day and all that?
Yeah,
Have you
unless
seen
you're
those?
him. That guy's great.
Hertzfeld.
Hertzfeld,
Yeah.
yeah. Those cartoons are amazing, and he
They're
does it all
awesome.
himself.
Yeah,
So,
that's skill right
anyways,
there.
Takes
But
anyways,
them forever though, man. Like
yeah,
one he
I
took 4 years on.
right.
Yeah.
but I think that it's important to, like I said, have yourself surrounded with people who know what they're doing, and try not to do all of it yourself. I am pretty bad at that. I will be honest. There are times in certain projects where I have tried to do everything myself, and you just burn out, and you can't do it all. But if you have a team in mind that understands the direction that you're wanting to go in for that particular project, it makes it all the more easier. All the more easier. It makes it all the easier. um, and so I feel that something that I could have done different was had
Do you think there were elements of the video that weren't working that way, or was it something about your promotional campaign?
it was promotion. I think I'm really happy with it. I'm very happy with the video. And people who have viewed it said that it's really cool. It's very creative. Like I've only gotten mostly positive responses from the video. So
Mhm.
I think everything probably was in promotion, because it does take a network of people to get things out there.
Right,
And then between Facebook and Twitter and emails, and there's not enough hours in the day to try to do all that by yourself. So
right.
you have to be able to surround yourself with people who are willing to take on those tasks in conjunction with you, and not just by yourself.
Right. I mean, it's the easy part is when you do a project, getting all the people who worked on it,
Hmm.
who have a vested interest in getting the work out there and getting seen. It's easy to get them to promote it. When this
Yeah.
episode comes out, I'll send you the link and Conrad the link, and you guys will help promote it because it's
Right.
your thing too. The hard part, what makes going viral, which I sure as hell haven't figured out yet. But the trick is getting the people who watched it, the
To
people that we
share it.
share it with that watch it, that don't have any personal horse in the race,
Hmm.
getting them to decide that they want to share it too. That's the
Exactly.
trick.
And it's very weird because we will share things all day long on our social media. We
Hmm.
really for people that we don't know.
The dumbest
But
shit too.
yeah, but when it comes to actually sharing each other's work, it's a
Right.
challenge to get people to get on board with the stuff that you do. That's what I found too.
Hmm.
And I have been guilty of it as well. Like I'll see, videos first thing in the morning when I wake up, watching videos on Facebook, share, and it's gone. But it's more of a challenge when you find yourself trying to get people to jump on your boat to promote your things.
Right. Right.
Um,
And I'm not sure why that is, because
I
you'd
don't
think
know
that
either. Yeah.
you put more work into this kind of stuff, you'd think people will want to help promote that more. But, when I screw around in Photoshop and make a little meme image and put it on Facebook, I get more likes and shares
Hmm.
than I ever do on a video or an episode I produce. So,
Right. Yeah.
the internet is a
So
funny place, and
It
what
is.
people decide to make go viral is, I've heard people at marketing firms say that there is almost no way to predict if something's going to go viral.
Yeah, there really isn't. Nope.
So all you can do is work your ass off and hope for the best. The one thing that I can say, at least from what I've always observed, is that it's all about being genuine.
Yeah, that was actually a point I was going to touch on, but go ahead.
I was just going to say, people can usually smell from an incredible distance when you want something rather than you're just trying to share something, or when you have ulterior motives or something. So the more you can just be upfront and honest and seem genuine, the
Hmm.
better chance you're going to have of people being into your thing.
Yeah.
What's your experience?
Yeah, it's the same thing. And in my early days, when I started to do a lot of projects and wanted people to watch them, it was very much like that. This is what I did, and share it, and do this, and this and that. And so people could sense that. You're very right. People really can sense that.
Right.
Um, but with my projects today, I'm like, this is something that I actually put thought and effort into. This is something that means, very much to me. Um, if you'd like to share it, feel free. But I'd love it if you just watched it, just because it's got a piece of me in it.
Right. Well,
Um,
it's like with the Help Us Get Ellen thing. Yeah, it's your thing and you want it to get out there, but it's not just a hey, look at what I did. It's
mhm.
this is a cause I'm passionate about, and this is what I did to help bring attention to it. You
Right.
know, you're trying to get people interested in the cause,
Right.
and this is your way of doing it. It's not just a look at me thing.
Right. Right. Absolutely right.
So, congratulations on that video, and the connections it looks like it's made for you. I hope all that pans out.
Thank you.
What other things are you working on? What you got on the boiler?
Yeah, we're working on Closet Case, the feature film, my first feature film as a director. Just getting funding for that. So Closet Case is a feature that's about a guy that wakes up in an alternate universe where gay society is normal and straight society is the outcast. But he
Okay.
is still a straight man stuck in this gay world. So he has to go throughout the duration of the film staying in the closet as a straight guy, so he doesn't lose his job and lose his family and everything that he holds dear to him. So it's it deals with a lot of real issues. It deals with anti-bullying, with politics, with religion, equality in the workplace. But it's written in a way to whereas it's funny, but it's not making fun of the issues.
Okay.
And so
Would you
it's done.
classify it as a comedy, or is it more of a drama?
It's a balance between the two. I call it a dramedy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we've got it cast. The cast that we have attached to it is amazing. Local actors here from Raleigh. One is in Nashville, and the rest are coming from Atlanta.
Okay.
So those are all of our main players. When we get the final budget for the film, we will be casting for a couple of speaking roles, smaller speaking roles. So we'll keep everyone up to date on that. But that's what our primary focus is at the moment, is getting funding for Closet Case.
Well, this has been really great. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and we'll definitely have to have you on again sometime soon, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for thinking of me.
Conrad, I believe people can find you at all the Triangle Film Community stuff.
Triangle Film Community. We got to meet up this week, Thursday, at Blue Forest Studios. We're doing a lighting workshop. And then February 5th, we have a screening at the Cary Theater, Best of Film Spark 2015. 8 awesome short films by 8 great local filmmakers.
That's cool stuff, man. And those films that were at Film Spark were amazing. I can't wait to see them again in the theater.
Yeah,
it's going to be good.
And of course, I'm Bob Walters. You can follow me at @paradise_Bob on Twitter. All the local film talk stuff. You can of course go to the YouTube channel, the local film talk YouTube channel. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. The stuff that everybody says at the end of their video. But and definitely share these with your friends who are looking for advice to get started in their film careers. Local Film Talk is also on Twitter at Local Film Talk, and you can download the podcast on iTunes too. So don't forget to get it there. So, but this has been another episode of Local Film Talk. Thank you to my co-host Conrad Arnold and our guest Anthony Williams. I look forward to talking to you again. Conrad, do you remember who we got next week?
I
don't know. It's written down somewhere. We will put that out on the.
We're professional.
We're pros.
Woo!
This is how you run a show. But yeah, stay tuned to the social medias. We'll be talking about or we'll be announcing our next guest soon, and tune in next week. It should be a lot of fun. This is actually the first one we advertised as being live. I can see the counter. We got a couple people watching this one. That's pretty cool.
Oh, awesome. Hey, you guys.
Hi, everybody. Ignore all the legally dangerous stuff we've been saying the past hour or so.
Oh god, yeah. I like some of this is probably gonna come back and bite me in the ass later, but we'll see.
Hey man, what happened to making sure everything you say is?
No, I stand by everything I said. Everything.
I love it. Well, thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you next week. Take care.